After 2.5 years on YouTube, we're finally at vlog 200. For vlog 100, I went to Puerto Rico. For 200, I'm gonna be going all around Florida, the swamp, South Florida, New York City, answering a ton of questions that were user submitted, and then my favorite part, the case studies, where I get to go into small actions that have a big impact. So this is gonna be a deep dive. It's gonna be a long video. There's chapters. Feel free to skip around to what's more pertinent to you. My mistake was thinking I needed permission to go to the next level, and that has kind of persisted throughout my journey. I would think, oh, I've only shot this type of work, therefore I can't really shoot this other type of work, or I've never tried this editing style, so it would be a waste of time to try to figure this out. And then even when it got later on, it would be my buddy Dalton saying, hey, I got us a job being part of the live broadcast for ESPN. We're gonna be filming Top Rank Boxing. And I'd say, oh dude, I don't know, I've never been in that situation before. But then once I broke it down and it was, do you know how to use a gimbal? Yes. Do you know how to take directions? Yeah. Then we can figure this out. And that's actually one thing I really admire about Dalton. So he owns his own production company. I've mentioned him a bunch of times on the vlog. And he has gotten me so much experience throughout my career and kind of shown me that you don't need a pat on the back and hey, I'll guide you through this next step. He just runs through it. In fact, I saw a clip, I think on a Joe Rogan podcast, where this guy was asking him, if you were stuck on a prison and you needed one guy who didn't need permission, who would just figure out a way to get you out of there, who would that be? That person who doesn't need, he's no agent, like they will figure something out. And I was like, yeah, I think that would be Dalton. And I sent that to him because that's exactly how he is in his production company. There's so many jobs that he takes on, and I'll just get a random call and I'll say, hey, I got this crazy new client. We've never done anything like this, and we're just gonna go do it. Not like we're gonna go test it and hopefully we can figure it out. No. We're gonna go do it. And watching and having people like that in my life where I get to see them just go full force into the unknown is really beneficial for me, because I normally go, let's look at the next step, let's assess it, assess the risk, the reward, and if it's a smart decision, let's move forward. So that is good in some areas and it's horrible in other areas because you delay progress. Whereas for Dalton, if you're ever in Shawnee, don't depend on Uber or Lyft. It doesn't exist. So our car service to get home is called, what is it? Mom's Pickup?
I am texting Mom's Pickup in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, we're going to the gas station. Can you guys there? She's like, oh, we got you, sweetie. Like, I'm not joking.
That's the only car service here, Mom's Pickup. He has exceeded normal progress pace by a lot, which has allowed him a lot of cool opportunities. He's brought me with him to film World Surf League qualifying contests in Barbados twice, the Top Rank Boxing, filming country music festivals throughout the US. There's so many that I'm like, how do you get these things? Because that's what we think, right? Oh, how'd you get that client? It's like, it's not just saying yes when a client comes to you. It's let me push the boundaries here, push it there, push it here, and then it'll open up more doors. So that would be my biggest mistake. I still make it now. It's overanalyzing and thinking that I need to have a concrete plan to move forward. Whereas Dalton just goes, I don't know where the next step is, but I'm gonna take my foot and move it forward, and we'll see what I land on. This one's from Junior Barrera. What type of mindset do you have in being a freelancer? Bro, you hit the nail on the head with this question because too many people do not think about this. I am drawn to being a freelancer because I like deciding what I do, who I work for, when I work, and having the autonomy to fail or to not take a job or to overload myself or to underload myself. I like having that sovereignty. I think a lot of people have the misguided belief that you need a ton of discipline to be a freelancer, and that's just not true because I'm living proof of it. I have horrible discipline, but I don't like being told what to do. So if I'm in the structure where I work for a boss and he says, you need to come in this day, you need to stay late, I'm gonna resent it, I'm gonna hate it, and I'm gonna underperform, really. But if I am creating my own schedule and I'm not doing anything and I'm lagging around and then I'm starting to see those results of my work going down, that's gonna guilt me. That's gonna make me think, what are you doing? You should be working way harder. This is not where you want to be. And I can self-evaluate and make those decisions. And that is the benefit of being a freelancer. You have to have that mindset, or I'll say that mindset works well. There are other people that I've had tons of consultation calls with who have a different mindset. That's fine. Go with the way your brain is wired. A lot of other people need the structure of an employee. They need the dependability of a W-2. For me, it's a little different. It's more so when you're thinking of what's the freelancer mindset is, do you like to govern yourself? And if you do, are you willing to put in the work to keep yourself moving forward? And a lot of troubleshooting, poking here, stress test there. So it's two sides of the coin. Personally, I like the freelancer route. Super simple question, the LLC. So this has been one of the best decisions that I've made in my career, bar none. And it's the step I took after the LLC. And I only started looking into the tax classifications when Adam Kalinowski told me that he was looking into them and he was talking to a CPA and this might be a good fit. Thank goodness for him. He connected me with his CPA and I got to ask those same questions. And the CPA said, based on your income, electing to be taxed as an S-Corp will benefit you. If you are not in those income ranges, it'll hurt you. When I was the single member LLC, I was getting taxed at a 34% rate on my net income, on the profit. Now as a S-Corp, I am taxed at a 17%, literally half. 50% less I'm paying in taxes. Last year, I had a drastic increase in revenue. And if I had not done the S-Corp election, I would owe tens of thousands of more dollars right now to the government. Not to gear or to anything else, straight money, straight income going to the government. And all I had to do was look into these classifications, see if this was a right fit with a CPA, get that, advising from him. And now all that money stays in my bank account. So I do recommend legitimizing your company as an LLC. One, a lot of clients will expect it, if not ask for it. And the W-2 helps just as it's like banks can understand that you have consistent employment, even though all the money already comes to me when I was a single member LLC. But now they like to see this, and I still have access to my business accounts that I can do owner withdrawals, and I'm putting myself on payroll, so I have to pay for all these services, but overall, drastic savings.
Tough. So she rubbed it into you? No, if I really want to just dig in when I get home.
All right, what's the chance that that shot came out at all? All right, definitely didn't expect to be running. Oh yeah, we're golden. Oh, that's solid. Not bad at all. This is a specific one. John Provenzano asks, how do you deal with medical insurance? Are you freeballing it? Do you have some type of coverage? If so, what should a freelancer expect to pay in costs? Love the channel since these 70 days. I said you won't like my answer, but I'll share. I don't have it. Is that a dumb decision? Yeah, that's a pretty not future-proof decision. Has it worked out? Absolutely. I have saved so much money and only because I have not had any incidents and because of my life structure. I don't have a family, I don't have kids, don't have dependents, I don't have any other reasons that would call for a medical emergency besides my body failing or getting injured. So I do not recommend it, but it is working fine. There is a very high likelihood that it will not be fine when something happens. Until then, I think I'm good just because of my past history. One thing that I might look into is what are the changes now that I am an employee for my company? Can my company get health care at a better rate? I may look into that, but more higher chance than not, something will happen and I won't be covered, and I'll just deal with that with my savings. So this is why I don't want to leave Florida, because look around real quick. This is the backyard that we have access to, and we're not even a mile away from a bridge and from a main interstate, and this is crystal clear spring run water with a decent flow. I'll show you. And we just saw some otters go through here. There's definitely gators, snakes, but I don't want to leave this. I just need more money to buy a property. I'm gonna group two of these questions together. They're from completely different people. So first one, Jay Emil Santiago Juan, he actually had a consultation call with me not too long ago, and it's been fun to watch him do some things in Dallas, work with Jared Phelps, get into the community. But the question is, now that you have successfully worked with some major brands, knowing what you know now, how would you approach any other brand you'd like to work with? There's a caveat on this, because I don't approach the brands. I find people who approach the brands. I work for agencies. So if I am gonna go direct to a brand, then that means I usually have to provide everything, and I don't like that type of structure. I don't like directing and producing and being the video manager overhead viewpoint. I don't like that. I'd rather be on set, singular role, and trying to push that as far as I can get, as creative as I can get. So I need to find people who can either connect me with those brands, or they have those brands as clients and I work for them. It's a bit of the chicken and the egg happening here, because there will be times where I need someone to trust me to work on their production for a larger client. How do they do that? They see me work on a larger production for a different client. So it's very cyclical. Each one helps get to the next step. So there's no way where I could go from doing event recaps and then being the gimbal operator for Top Rank and ESPN. That's not how that works. I can't make it work like that. But what I can do is have a consistent work history with someone who is out trying to get those jobs, and they need someone dependable that they've worked with before. That's where I come in. Now, the second part of that, speaking of major brands, is from Saul Martinez 7179. In that Puerto Rico video, you mentioned you flew back to Florida because of an assignment for the Wall Street Journal. Was it worth cutting a personal trip short and coming back early to work for a client? Yes, that one was. Would I normally do that? Absolutely not. I am not going to cut short my surf trip to the Caribbean that I take more than most. Last year was Costa Rica. Usually I go to Puerto Rico a few times, and this one was with some surf buddies, and we were only there for 4 days, and I had to leave after like two and a half. But it was worth it for me because I worked for Wall Street Journal before. How did they find me? From being on Production Hub. So that's another way to work for a brand. Put yourself on listing sites that can garner that type of clientele. For me, that's Production Hub.
They just found someone in Orlando, and I did a job for them. It worked out great. I showed basically the hiring manager a couple months later that the video had came out. It did very well. I think it got 2 million views of how a cruise ship captain parks in a new port. And just a reminder, hey, I shot this video. If you need any other help in Central Florida or anywhere, I got a passport, I can go. And they said, great. Well, you're on the list of approved vendors. So a couple months went by, nothing. More months went by, a year went by. I checked back in, nothing. And then they did hit me up one time, and it was for that afternoon. And I was already on a job. It was 9 a.m. They said we have something at 4 p.m. I was already on a job, couldn't take it. But that one little miss really does put you down on the calling pattern next time. So I had one win, one loss. 9 months goes by again, just checking in, nothing. And then the week before I go to Puerto Rico, they said, we have this job. So if I had said no to that, I think it would have really hurt my chances for the next call. Might not even be a next call. It went great. I made a vlog about it. I am refreshed in their system, and I got to meet more producers. I still got to surf. It was very fun, and everything worked out. That was 100% worth it. I don't normally do that, but for this type of opportunity where it's not even about that paycheck at all, it's about getting into their network of vendors that are used commonly, and very, very, very importantly, to show everyone else that I worked for them, and that's the caliber of clientele that I work with. That's more valuable because they can only hire so many people, meaning in this case, the agency, Wall Street Journal. Everyone else can hire a lot more people. So if I'm on their radar as someone who operates at this level, then essentially they are all seed farming for my work. It's a weird way to think about it, but it's always worked out. In my head, this is how it works. Every time I meet someone or work for someone, now they are doing my job of lead generation because I'm a crew member. So anytime they get something and they need a guy, they can call me. Plus, a lot of times they don't want the headache of going through a bunch of people that they don't know, that they don't trust. So it's just easier to be like, who did I work with last? Hey. So that works for this guy, and then for that agency, and for this small company. And it just, the more seeds I can throw, the better it is, the more chance of crops surviving. In some cases, I have worked with large clientele, but that is not a direct function of me talking to client. There's usually an intermediary person. Is that the safest bet? Probably not, because I need the middle person to get there for the next one. But for my situation, that is absolutely how I like to have less of a headache, the spontaneity of getting a call, and then in the meantime, working on my own entity. I'm going to talk about that in another question. Next question from John Waldman, who I just was able to meet up with in New York when I was working there for a quick job. It's nice to meet him. I think we're going to do a New York Morefield meetup soon. He's got a documentary premiering. We might be able to wrap it all up into one event. So stay tuned for that info. But he asks, as your YouTube channel continues to grow, do you have plans to monetize the channel in other ways, brand deals, etc.? So I feel like I pull back the curtain a lot on this channel, and I try to be transparent and show the things that are happening in here. And this is just one layer deeper, because while I do get money from being on the YouTube channel, it's not a lot, but it's not nothing. And I am looking for ways to grow this. I think the biggest, most important thing that I can do as I go through this career, and I think this applies to everyone, is to grow my entity, to make it so that I can make money no matter what I'm doing, whether that is directly working for an agency, whether that is having my own product, whether that is having my own journey all together, I want to make sure that I am financially secure and I can always make money and not have to depend on other people. So what does that look like? Because you can go a bunch of different ways with that. For me, that is not brand deals. The only sponsorship that I have was whenever I do the affiliate code for The Art of Documentary. I was in their program, I enjoyed it, and I like to tell other people my results I got with it. Other than that, I get some Amazon affiliate links, B&H affiliate links. I don't really call that a collaboration, just royalty off sales. I don't like working with brands in general because now I have to do what they want. So what is the opposite of that? Where do I have autonomy? That would be in my own digital product. So I talked about this, I think 2 years ago on the vlogs, and I said, someone said this example to me, and it really resonated. If you had a $100 product, do you think you could sell it? Could you make $100 worth of value? And I said, yeah, I could definitely, with the amount of information that I provide in this channel, I could definitely make a product that was $100 worth of value. And they said, could you sell 1,000 of sales in the first year? Probably not. He goes, okay, let's start with 250. Could you sell 250 sales in the first year? I said, I think so. That's a couple a month. I could probably do that. So if you did that, that would bring in $25,000. Oh, that's a lot. So at this point, when you get to year 2, you probably have some momentum. Yeah. Maybe 500 sales. Yeah, I think that could work. 500 sales on year 2. That's $50,000. Year 3, let's say you made it to 1,000. Is that plausible? Yeah, I think $1,000 sales after 3 years is definitely plausible. In total, in 3 years, that's $175,000. Now that is an extra amount of money that I have never been expecting, and that would be very, very impactful. And I said this 2 years ago. The reason I didn't release a $100 product or any product is because I couldn't find it, and I still don't. This is not a pitch for a product that I have. It's more of a journey of where I want to go. I just want to find the real value in what I can provide, and I haven't found it yet. It could be in like membership, something to be with my network. There is value for the people who come in through the consultation calls. Every now and then I'm able to throw it back to them and say, hey, I know you're in this place, I know your skill level, this is a job. Maybe that wasn't even inquired for me. A lot of people ask me for, do you know somebody in this state? Oh, yeah, I can help with that. Let me go through my Rolodex. So it could be buying into that membership. It could be some type of newsletter. I don't know what it is. But I am seeing other creators take advantage of the value that they can provide. I'm just going to keep my eyes open of where can I fill the gap of where someone is needing value and where I can provide value. What does pre-production look like with a new client? So this has kind of evolved over the years, having learned what to ask, what not to ask. Typically when I get a new inquiry, let's say they're reaching out to me. Hey, we're looking for a one-man band trying to do this. Can you set us a quote? That's what they're trying to get fast is, does this quote fit our budget? What I need to know is what is the scope and what is their expectations? So typically, you don't want to have a huge back and forth before you can get to numbers because it's wasting a lot of people's time. So I am a fan of setting a baseline. If I can understand from what they're saying in the beginning that they're looking for a one-man band corporate shoot with 1 or 2 cameras and I'm doing lighting and audio and it's very simple and small scope, I just get my day rate. And that way, the conversation can save time and it can either advance or stop. Once the factors get bigger and more complex, that's when we start needing to say what my favorite tactic is. We say ranges. So if I can get some scope from them, but they're not being too clear, either I'm going to save the time of trying to get every detail to give them a number, or I'm just going to say, let me just put this up in front to see if we're even on the same page. That typically costs between $5,000 and $10,000. Then they can, the benefit for them is they don't feel backed up into a corner of, you said it was going to be $6,200. Well, that was based on the info that I had. And I think that margin for error is very important. So typically when you go through a project, there are new demands and the client says, hey, I also want to do this. That's when I have to refer back to our SOW, our scope of work, which is just a document that I prepared in the beginning that says, this is what we are expected to do for this budget. And if now we are exceeding the scope of work, that's going to have payment implications and deadline implications, typically both. So whenever a client would tell me, we need to change this, I normally would be like, no, that's too much, which is not great business. Now what I do is I say, okay, but here is how it's going to affect the project. It's either going to cost more, it's going to take longer to do, or we have to substitute this for something else. How would you like to proceed? So I let them make the decision. And implementing a SOW has been very helpful for business decisions. This is what my car thinks it looks like. Leaping Dog Film says he's starting to get consistent work, but there's still dry seasons where it's not consistent. What do you do to be consistent? You're looking at it. I had a big gap in time, probably 4 months, where it was like a job per month, and then the ones that I did get weren't really high paying, and it was a very transitionary time in the sense that I was doing a lot of real estate, I was doing event recap, didn't like either of the two, but had built consistent networks for them. I really wanted to get into corporate work, so I took whatever corporate work I could get by marketing myself on whatever platforms. In the beginning, I did not use Production Hub because it was paid. Upwork, I was able to scratch a job here or there, and then market that on the vlog. So by calling myself a corporate one-man band guy, I can get known as the corporate one-man band guy. It's not lying. This is the job. Here's the behind the scenes of me doing this. And that is how I'm going to start to go down a definitive path. Otherwise, it's just casting a wide net, which is great in the beginning when you really need to get any type of work. But eventually, I want to go down the path that I like the most. And after doing a couple of different types of jobs over the years, film jobs, I thought corporate work is really nice because here in Florida, it's tough to do exteriors. It's hot, you're sweating, everything's a chore, and then it rains the next 10 minutes. I kind of like being in the AC. I like a very structured shoot, meaning we're gonna be doing interviews, consistent lighting styles, consistent audio types. Of course, you're gonna have all of your variations. You're gonna have the executive who is set to film at 9:30 come in at 9 and say, hey, I got time right now, and then I gotta get out of here. How do you manage that? So it's not the most concrete structure, but it is way more than doing event recap when it's like, go out there and just get everything you can, and you're keeping the shot list in your head. And also, I didn't want to do the whole business myself. I wanted to be a freelancer, so I needed to position myself as an entity that was desirable for those agencies. So I had to work on my own branding, trying to have all public views of me as this role. Slow build, still had to do other random things, real estate, and then eventually I was able to stop and say a hard no to all of those other clients that I did not want to do. And I've said it in the past, but that is a hard thing to do. When someone is saying, here's money, can you do this? And you have to say, is this part of the process of me going down this lane, or does taking this job keep me here in the middle without a designated path forward? And so you have to say no. Hopefully you can refer them to someone, you don't leave them hanging. But that is what I had to do, and to kind of go down a direct path, especially when I had time to pivot. And that's not saying time to pivot in the sense of, oh, I can do whatever I want right now, I'm not working. No, I'm not working. I'm not making money. I need to pivot and start going towards the direction that I want to build on. Otherwise, I'm building on the direction I don't want to go on. So, short answer is change my branding, change public perception of me, and I chose vlogging. This is a fantastic case study of how easy is it to get hired. So I needed to refer a job that I didn't want to do because it involved post-production to someone in Miami. And this person, David Blodgett, is a fantastic videographer. He's worked for some very, very highly curated YouTube channel work, and I think he's more freelancing now. And he's getting all the benefits of having a consultation call without ever having signed up for one, because we had breakfast together before I had these calls. So during the breakfast, I was able to learn more about him. Now we stay in touch, and we kind of refer each other work whenever something passes by that fits our roles. So something came by my email, and the job looked great until they said it's going to involve post-production. Now, for most people, they think if I pass this off, I'm losing money. That's not how I think. I think this is a way to expand my network and to instill trust into other people. So I looked at what they needed. David is a great fit for this, and I sent it his way. I said, this is the scope. This is what they're looking for. Are you interested? I'll patch you through if you are. And he said, absolutely interested. I can handle the production, the post-production, whatever you need, I'm your guy. And as I sent that info over to the entity that inquired, who I've never worked with, they're not a current client, they said, does he have, we see his website, which is like, it's like action, it's more documentary, YouTube, it's very, very good stuff. But we're doing a boring corporate conference. Does he have anything like that? I asked David, boom, fired off a perfect Dropbox folder of corporate video examples. So I sent that over to them. They said, well, we also need some still photography on site. Ideally, one person can do both. If we need a second person, we can work that in. Can he do that? I asked David, fired off his corporate stills Dropbox folder. And they said, great, we'd love to move forward with this. He disabled all the hurdles that normally come with getting hired. Because what can happen is someone asks, do you have this? And you say, I can find it. I've done work like that. Give me a second, give me an hour, give me the rest of the day. I'm gonna put some stuff together and send it to you. While you're doing that, they're finding someone who already has this portfolio ready to go so they can just get to the next step. And that is what David was doing. He made it so easy for this client to get to the next step that as you're going through, you're saying, this guy rocks. Like, we have no hesitations because everything we ask for, he has it immediately. So David ended up doing the job. They worked on the budget, they agreed upon it, and he got a job with no effort for lead generation. That was all on me. And I was able to help this client, help a colleague. Everybody wins. So when I do something like that, it's not necessarily to be like, oh, now you owe me one, but there is a nice bit of mutual play happening. So I refer him work, he refers me work, we're all helping each other grow, and this is just an easy case study. How easy do you make it for someone to hire you? David did a fantastic job. I am very excited to do this case study. I got my iced Americano and I'm about to nerd out because this is not only going to judge how one creator is working on social media, but how two of my friends, one is a singular friend, the other one is a group of friends, how they perceive the information of someone being successful. So first, let's watch the reel from Alex on a budget.
How much money I've made so far since I started posting on social media. I started my TikTok channel last December, and in December I made $0. In January I made $0. However, by the end of January, I was already in the creator fund, so in February, I got $181.66. In March, I made $286.16. And things kind of changed in April because I started selling my budgeting template and I also had one brand deal. So I made $1,768.25. In May, I made $2,602.15, and that's from a brand deal, my budgeting template, and views. In June, I made $3,586.78. In July, I made $7,681.55, and the majority of that money was from my budgeting template. In August, I made $16,048.47. In September, I didn't have any brand deals, but I made $19,298.01. And now we're in October, and I'm projected to make about $16,000 or $17,000. And ultimately, here's what I've learned. TikTok views pay well, but you need to go viral, and it fluctuates a lot. You can make a lot from brand deals, but I don't think it's as easy as a lot of people make it out to be. And probably the best thing you can do is to have your own product.
Okay, a lot of information in there. So I sent this to the first friend who is very entrepreneurial minded. He's in a similar workflow than I am. And I said, she is everything I want to be. Why? Because she is creating her own income. She's not relying on clients or group efforts. It's just her and her husband. The big takeaway with this journey was no money, essentially, in Q1. 2 months of dry, not even profit, dry income, nothing. Started to get a slow build. The change happened when she introduced her digital product. And that is the course to freedom, financial freedom, and the course to exponentiating your ascension. If she didn't do that, you'll see in the second reel that I show how much that would have detracted from her success. So I sent it to my first friend, and he's like, man, I cannot, these numbers are making me mad, because as someone who are both in the video production realm, we're trying to figure out how do we increase our numbers. We're talking no gear, no startup costs, no, if she sells to one person, it's the same inventory cost as selling to 1 million people. It's a digital product. Download. And most likely, I haven't seen the product, it is a glorified Excel spreadsheet for a budgeting template. So we were both on the same high of like, we need to think more simple. She's doing this all with her phone on her downtime. So I sent it to the second group, right? The second group are more employee-based. They're not entrepreneurs. They don't have their own business. And I like to just send them stuff that inspires me. So when I sent it to them, some of the people were like, this is interesting. And then some of them were poking holes in it, which I think is a very valuable thing to do. So I sent them this, and I said, this is amazing because she's passionate about saving money. That's what the whole platform is about. And if you go towards your passion instead of chase the money, then the money comes after the passion. It's much harder to chase the money and then be able to find your passion through that. I don't know anybody who's done that unless their passion just becomes making money, which I don't know. So anyways, I sent it to that friends group. So some people are accepting it in different ways. And one of them says, I scrolled all the way back to her first and second post. And he goes, this is dumb. And I agree. The reel is so dumb. It's her saying, oh, I'm going to pay my car payment. Click. Oh, that was tough to do. Yeah, it's a dumb reel. But what that allows you to do is have the expectation your first reel doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 idea. It can be, as I quoted to my friends, a dumb as rocks 1 out of 10 idea. And then it will build. That gives me inspiration. Now I know I don't have to come with gold in the beginning. I can find it. And they were saying, yeah, I agree, but still, this is like the dumbest content ever. And if you were to judge her on her first reel, yeah. But that brings us to the second reel.
Stop sharing my business income every single month, but I promised I would do a quarterly update, so let's get into it. I make money 3 ways on social media, and that is from my budgeting template, brand deals, and social media views, and that's mostly from TikTok. I don't actually get paid from Instagram. Quarter 1 is January, February, and March, and in total, our revenue was $105,409. 50% of that came from brand deals, which is really great. I wanted to increase my brand deals this year. 43% came from my budgeting template, and that's because in January I had a really great month, and 7% came from views. But because this is revenue, we have to pay taxes. We put away 25%, which is $26,352. And we had some expenses, meaning things we just buy for the business, and that was $6,966. So in total for Q1, our profit was $72,091. But we actually haven't paid ourselves absolutely anything because we haven't set up payroll yet. We have a meeting with our accountant next month, and we're going to give ourselves some salaries and go from there. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and look out for Q2.
So in Q1, she's made 6 figures. I would love to be on that level. One of my other friends were saying, you know, that the car payment video, that wasn't her tipping point to become successful. That's just the beginning. Who even remembers that unless you scroll all the way back? What I find interesting is 50% of her income was from brand deals, and then about 40 was from her digital product. 7% was from views. If you are a content creator on the side, you know that views are not the cash cow. It's the other thing. It's the sponsored things, collaborations, or having your own digital product. So if she didn't introduce her 40% evaluation of her digital product, that's about 40 grand she would have left on the table unknowingly. And I just see this blurring of doing your profession and then being a creator, because so many more people are just filming things and putting themselves on social media platforms. Does that make you a creator? Does that just make you someone who participates in social media? Where's the line? Is it when you start selling products? I don't know. I don't really care about the labels. I care about the income. So this lady has said she is now on payroll, meaning she has probably gone to the S corporation tax structure. She is paying herself and her husband, and they're not paying self-employment tax anymore. So in another one of her reels, she said she just talked to a CPA, talked to a financial advisor, and found the best streamlined option, which I think is valuable for any industry you are in, especially video production, because a lot of it is we're graduating as we go and not necessarily learning the things we need to know. So ask the professionals. But this was a case study of this lady, and this was also a case study of seeing how people in my circles respond to seeing success stories. You can just either take it one way where you go, that's great, how can I emulate that? And then you could also poke holes in it, which again I think is very valuable. You need to poke holes because you can't just copy someone's plan altogether, but it deters you from looking at options. There's nothing wrong with that if this is not what you want to do. If you don't want to be having your face on Instagram and TikTok and being on your phone all day, who am I to say that that's not the right choice? That's the right choice for you. But I wouldn't discount what this person is doing, and I also wouldn't discredit the revenue, substantial revenue that she is making, to the point where she quit her corporate job. She's now doing this, and she's figuring out how does this lane work. So beautiful case study. Tell me if you guys, how do you respond when you see people's success? How do your friends respond when you see people's success? Is it instantly, let me just tear that down line by line? Or is it, what can I pull out of that to benefit? Because that's what I do. I go, if you are being successful, how can I be successful like that? I think in the long haul, that is the way to grow and progress. But that's just me. And this is the last piece to wrap up the whole Vlog 200. It's not a question, it's more of a philosophy. How do you think? Because I'm going to share how I think. In general, my entire ethos is very minimal. It's very not extravagant. It's tight, it's compact. I feel like that really comes through when you see the type of gear that I use, how I pack, how I think. It's not to allow excess. And that is a personality trait of mine. And I see it come out. Sometimes it's good because there's not a lot of excess waste, and sometimes it's bad because it's not accounting for all of the outside. To make an analogy, if you got an ice cream sundae, mine would be vanilla with fudge and maybe some nuts. If you ask someone else, they're doing a scoop of pistachio, a scoop of strawberry, a scoop of chocolate, whipped cream, nuts, cherries on top, sprinkles, chocolate chips, and a cookie bowl foundation. That's just how some people go. I know people like that, and that is how they run their business. They buy all the gear. They get the grip van. They get the websites. They get everything. And it's a huge, expansive effort. And that has gotten them a lot of progress. But I feel it's best to go with the type of flow that works with you. It could be that, it could be that. Who knows? But I do think it is important to be self-reflective, to be aware of this channel that you're going through. Is that the best way to do it? Because it might feel comfortable, but what are you missing out on? And for me, let's take my car. It's 4-cylinder, not the biggest engine. It's manual, very simple. It's a 2-seater. It's just extremely small, nimble, doesn't take up a lot of space, can fit in any spot, can go through any drive-through. There is less to think about because of how simple it is. You think of other people's cars who they need more room. What if I'm gonna bring this? What if I have that? I got more people. They might come. I like to invite people, so there might be some more in the back. I wanna always be available. It's just so different. And I am interested when I see people's personalities flow into their business practices. So this isn't a perspective that I think someone needs to do. I just think it's very interesting to watch how everybody is different. Everybody has their own way. And hopefully I can watch those, see what they are doing, take the best parts from it so that I don't have to learn every mistake myself. I can see the value of expanding, constricting, going high, going low, going fast, going slow, whatever it is. There is a very cool parallel when you see someone's personality go into their business. And for most of us, this is our first time making a business, seeing how it works. Are you safe? Are you fast? Are you dangerous? Are you, do you execute? Do you hold back and analyze? That is the cool part, to just see someone shine through in their business practices. So like I said, it's not a question, but I would love to know, how do you operate? How similar is your personality to your business practices? Okay, we're gonna continue doing more vlogs. I don't know what's gonna happen next. I got a New York filmmaker or Morefield meetup happening sometime this year with John Waldman. I would like to do San Diego as well. I would like to eventually have a high value digital product. I'm on track to make the same amount of money this year as I did last year. No massive purchases in the way. I love my new place. It's Nature City. It's amazing. Let me know what you guys got going on. All right, peace.